The moment I opened my mouth towards the constellations, the frightened Han Myung-oh raised his hands. Don't include me! Honestly, I don't think I will be any help. He was frightened. All participants and helpers would be at least a grade constellation. It was a power that head manager Han of Minosoft didn't have. I touched Han Myung-oh's shoulder and told him, "Please fill in the number of people. It isn't a real death even if you die in there. Just close your eyes and play the game." The mythical battlefield had a total of 3 chances. If I lost this round, I could make up for it in the next round and the round after that. But it'll be painful. Yes. And I don't want to. I won't. Thank you, Department Head Nim. You have gained Demon Earl Han Myung-oh as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 5 people. It would be nice if I could get a better pinch hitter, but there were no suitable talents. I could choose Mark or Eileen, but they were honestly inferior to Han Myung-oh, who was a Demon Earl. I will naturally participate. Jang Hayoung bumped his fist like he had been waiting. You've gained Dimensional Mover Jang Hayoung as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 4 people. How much was Jang Hayoung's combat power now? I heard he came in 3rd in the martial arts competition, but I couldn't feel it because I wasn't present. The Jang Hayoung of any round hadn't succeeded the Breaking the Sky swordsmanship during this period. I turned my head towards another Breaking the Sky sword saint disciple. Breaking the Sky Master. Woof! The answer was simple. You have gained Knowledgeable Dog Breaking the Sky Master as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 3 people. The Transcendent Dog Breaking the Sky Master could definitely compete with the Great Constellations. This dog would obviously be a big help in this fight. By the way, the expression of the Breaking the Sky Master wasn't good. Woof! The Breaking the Sky Master's blustery gaze was directed towards a dog. I knew what he meant. That's right. He's a new colleague. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It can't be helped even if you don't like it. Osu, who had been watching quietly, started sniffing the butt of the Breaking the Sky Master. Then the Breaking the Sky Master had flames in her eyes as she kicked his forehead. Yep. He wasn't reliable, but I had to add him as a colleague. He was better than Han Myung-oh because he was a great constellation. You have gained Dog Who Threw Himself into the Flames as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 2 people. One of the remaining 2 spots was for Yoo Jung-hyuk. You have registered Supreme King Yoo Jung-hyuk as a helper. The character is currently not nearby. Once the person accepts the offer, they will be automatically summoned to the battlefield. There are 5 minutes remaining. Now I had 1 spot left. The constellation, Demon King of Salvation, is looking at the constellations. I could feel the eyes of the constellations on me. Let's get a volunteer. Is there anyone who can become a helper? To be honest, I thought there was no way there would be no applicants. The constellations in the channel were those who had been following my story all the way here. If there was more than 1 volunteer, I might be able to replace Han Myung-oh. By the way, the constellation Queen of the Darkest Spring is making an unknown smile. The constellation Bald General of Justice wipes his head hard. The constellation Mass Production Maker is complaining of back pain. Shit. Many constellations are turning their heads away from your eyes. I glared at the sky with disapproving eyes. This stage might not be deserving of Persephone or the Mass Production Maker, but there were the great constellations. I sighed and turned towards Jang Hayoung. Jang Hayoung, did you contact the constellations I mentioned? Yes. In order to prepare for this day, I asked Jang Hayoung to get in touch with some constellations. What about the Maritime War God? He said I'll think about it. I frowned. How long was he going to think about it? No matter how much he was worried about the probability, was he afraid of going against other nebula? The constellation Bald General of Justice is wiping his head with a towel. Originally, my plan was to bring the Breaking the Sky sword Namgung Minyoung and Paradox Bakchung Kyrgyos Rodgrame. However, these 2 people were now in Miram. Goryo's first sword? There was no answer. At this point, I felt a bit betrayed. The constellation Bald General of Justice has a trafficked expression as he wrapped the towel he wiped his forehead with around his head. It couldn't be helped. If this happened, I had to choose the second best thing. The constellation Bald General of Justice is nodding and looking at you. Asmodeus, didn't you say you would help me? A sinister black star in the corner of the sky wriggled at my words. The Demon King of Lust and Fury is looking at you. The Demon King of Lust and Fury says he will help from the 3rd round. From the 3rd round? The Demon King of Lust and Fury wants to test if you deserve his help. I bit my lip. This damn Demon King was now measuring me. I wondered if I could make it to the third round. Fortunately, I didn't see any names of Demon Kings among the helpers of the other side. In the Melodon, the constellation Founder of Humanity has been designated as a helper. In the Birkin, the constellation The Last Pharaoh has been designated as a helper. In the Melodon, the constellation Poked Out His Eyes has been designated as a helper. In the Melodon, the constellation General of Benara has been designated as a helper. There were the modifiers of some fearsome constellations, even if they weren't Demon Kings. I could even see some narrative-grade constellations. The desire of the constellations to tear, chew, and taste this scenario could be felt on my skin. It was a situation where I had to grasp at any straws. Uriel, the nebula Eden is troubled by your suggestion. The Demon Kings of the Demon World are paying close attention to the movements of the nebula Eden. I forgot that this was the Demon World. The image of Uriel and the writings of the Scribe of Heaven appeared in front of my eyes. As long as the agreement between the two groups persisted, Uriel would not be able to participate in the game. In the end, I reached out for another straw. The Great Sage, the Equal of Heaven. However, the reaction of the Great Sage, the Equal of Heaven. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is scoffing at you. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is clicking his tongue at the constellations of the other industrial complexes. He seemed to think that this stage didn't fit his pride as the Monkey King. It would hurt his self-esteem to lower himself to this scenario. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is chuckling towards you. Zheng Haiyang asked like he had heard the message. What about the Fire Dragon? No. Why? He's better than I thought. I knew the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon wasn't a bad guy, but his power was too risky to borrow. Crucially, there was a separate place where the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon was needed. I eventually sighed. It can't be helped. The only remaining constellation is... Hill. The constellation Ball General of Justice is holding his bamboo stick like he's been waiting. Zheng Haiyang, send a message to Secretive Plotter. Some constellations are surprised by your choice. The constellation Secretive Plotter. One of the 4 main constellations in my channel, he was the only one whose identity I did not know. I didn't know why he had showed up in my channel when the Great Sage, the Equal of Heaven, and the Black Dragon had appeared. A small number of constellations are afraid of your choice. Some constellations are trying to dissuade you from your choice. The reactions of the constellations were understandable. I wasn't sure about the identity of the Secretive Plotter, but it was highly likely he was an outer god. He also had enough influence to knock away the great old ones. Perhaps the other constellations were deeply conscious of this fact. Zheng Haiyang typed something in the air before calling out to me. Kim Dokcha, did you say it properly? Why? Look at this. Zheng Haiyang showed me the screen he had entered. The following message was on the screen. This modifier does not exist in the Starstream. I was stunned and asked Zheng Haiyang, did you enter it correctly? Do you think I'm a fool? Zheng Haiyang once again entered Secretive Plotter. This modifier doesn't exist in the Starstream. Secretive Plotter, this modifier didn't exist? The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is making an interested expression. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is curious. The constellation Master of the Skywalk is turning on the network. A number of constellations are searching for Secretive Plotter. I didn't think it would be like this and was momentarily paralyzed. There was 1 minute remaining. In fact, there were cases where constellations had multiple modifiers. However, what was the current situation? A modifier had disappeared? What now? Zheng Haiyang stared at me with nervous eyes. The remaining time was less than 30 seconds. The constellation Bald General of Justice is screaming and standing up. I looked up at the sky. It was hard to ignore him anymore. Sam Yongdong, please help. The moment I spoke, lightning flashed in the sky. The constellation Bald General of Justice is using probability to summon an incarnation body. I stared at the incarnation body that was being formed in the dazzling light and thought about it. It might be better to have a trustworthy ally compared to a strong but uncontrollable constellation. At the very least, Sam Yongdong was one of the constellations who supported me when I first got the rights to open a nebula. The summoning ceremony ended, but the light still hadn't disappeared. A closer look showed a flash of light from the head of Sam Yongdong. I used my hand to form a curtain as a voice was heard. It's been a while, Kim Dokcha. I was impressed by the true voice that contained a formidable history. Dogs and cats could become constellations if they were lucky. This didn't mean they were constellations. It's been a long time, sang Myung-dang. The 3 meters tall monk. He held a large bamboo stick that was like a giant tree. The great constellation Samyongdang finally revealed his true self. You have gained Bald General Justice as a helper. You have all of your helpers. All participants have completed recruiting their helper. The game Mythical Battlefield has appeared in the Demon World.